Welcome back, Mum. Block 19, a maple leaf. I can turn the iron on a bit too early. Alright, what are we doing here? So we've got normal seams and scant seams, yay. We're doing 4 at a time, so then we're going to trim them down, yay. Then use a heat erasable pen to draw a straight line. Okay, we're going to do this step by step because there are a lot of steps. This is always on my wall mat because it keeps Reggie off the mat. Well, it doesn't. It just puts a barrier between him and the mat. Okay, I feel like Ursula needs to be on standby. We're not doing heat erasable, we're going to do birch. We have the right thread on the machine. That was definitely the problem. We had no problems last time. Alright. Let's make sure we have all the fabric we need because we've got some small ones. Okay. So we need one 4.5 inch, which is that. Correct. One 2.5 inch is that. And then two, where's my ruler? Yep, and then two 2 inches. Tick. Then in B1 we need one 4.5. Alright, that's going to be our 4 together. And then we need 4 2.5s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. We have everything. I think we're going to do some new techniques this one. Alright, let's try and make this a little bit neater. Okay. I'm going to iron those. And my iron mom's up again. And then we're going to take this step by step by step. Okay. Since we don't need these ones right now, I'm just going to move them to the side. Alright. Do we remember how to do the 4 and 1? It's when we do the outside. So, let's pin this. And I think I've just had a request to do a side quest from hubby. Alright, have a request to do a side quest. So, going to be back. I will do my outline, I'll be back. Okay. We were requested to do a side test. A side quest. Now we're back. So, we're doing 4 at a time. Which means this guy. So, like we do in all the other videos, we make a little marks. This is much better when we're standing up. And this helps us be neater later. And we're sewing these on a normal seam. And we haven't sewn anything yet, so that your machine should be on a standard 1/4 inch. We'll move it off a 1/4 inch later. Alright. I will be back after I have sewn that. Okay. Sewing occurred, now cutting must occur, which means we need the cutter. It's probably not my squarest square ever, but it'll be fine. Try not to move it. Eventually my new cutting mat will arrive, although I'll still do these on rotary. Okay, we're going to need that later, I think. Alright, this means it's time for ironing, and then it's time for trimming down, which means it's time for this ruler. I'm going to iron these, and then we're going to trim them down. Alright, it's time to make them 2.5 inches. Is it time to make them? Yep, 2.5 inches. Okay. We have now done this plenty of times, so we're only going to do one very quickly and then I'll do the other 3. So 45 degree, a little bit more than 2.5 inches, cut the first bit off, turn it, line it up with the tip, points, I keep calling them tips, line it up with the point, cut it off, turn it again, line it up with the 2.5 inches and the 45 degree, should line up nicely, cut it off, turn it one more time, line it up with 2.5 inches, it should be at the point, cut it off. Alright, now this point in time, I'm not even sure what we're doing with it, so I'm just going to set it aside. I'm with the others. I'm not going to put it on the wool mat like I normally do. Alright, you don't need to see me do this again. I will be back when they're done. Alright, they're all done. Now we have to read carefully. Using a heat erasable pen, green chalk, and ruler, draw a straight line diagonally across these 2. The 2 white ones, the little white ones. Alright, so I don't need those. So diagonally is still 45 degrees. How are we going to do that? I have to think. You put it that way, Amanda. You put it that way and you line it up. And then you come back a little bit so it actually lines up. Okay. So, a straight line diagonally, can't say that word today. Alright, don't quite diagonally. Do it neater than I did. Alright, that's 1. I'm eyeballing this because trying to do it with the 45 is not easy. Can you even see me? Sort of. Here you go. Nope. It's the only thing I struggle sometimes with rulers. Is where I think the edge is often just a tiny bit out. Okay. Pin one of the marked squares on the corner of a 2.5 inch B1 fabric, right sides together. Well, thank goodness that it doesn't have, no, you want me to do that. Alright, I want that. Sew slightly to the outside of the drawn line. Okay, so we're going to sew inwards of the drawn line, so I'm going to pin it on this side. Alright, so once you, I really like that pinning. Might pin it a little bit better. Might pin it both sides for now, just to keep it stable as I mentally work through this. Alright. So you want it sewn, pinned like this. We can do this. I feel like this is going to be like the Ada ones. Okay. Sew slightly, I can't speak. Sew slightly to the outside of the drawn line, remove pins, cut the seam as shown. Is that a 1/4 inch? Yeah, it's 1/4 inch. Okay, so that was my drawn. Alright, I'm going to switch, well, it's just a straight line, so let's get in. Alright, I'm going to switch back to my unguided foot. I'm going to sew one of those, and I'm going to come back and see how long. I'm going to sew both of them, screw it. I will be back after some cautious sewing occurs. Alright, cautiously sewing occurred. I did my best to sew just outside the line. Harder than it seems because I like to sew on line. Okay. So far, so good, I guess. Worst case scenario, I'm going to cut some more of these up. Okay, now it says to, so just outside, done. Remove the pins, done. Cut a 1/4 inch seam as shown. Cut and press open, then sew remaining marked square to the, well, let's just cut this first. Okay. So, there's my sewing. Well, I don't want to, I'm cutting sort of from the drawn line. From the seam line, okay? That's a 1/4 inch. Let's cut. Let's cut. Alright, now what does it want me to do? Cut, done. Open out and press, then, well, open out and press. We'll be back after pressing. Okay, not perfect, but I get the concept now that I've done this bit. I'm sure we can clean those up. It's going to be fine. I have no idea what we're doing anyway. Okay. Then sew remaining marked square to the opposite corner. This, so remaining, yeah, I'm gonna have to read that again. So what do you do? So I've got that, and I've got small square, trim and press out, repeat on the opposite side. Oh no, I wasn't supposed to do what I did. Do not follow my instructions. Abort mission. I wasn't supposed to do both of them. I was supposed to do them both on one. Okay. We don't need Ursula, we need a bin. Okay. Alright, what fabric is this? This is B1. Okay. Well, the good news is I made a massive boo-boo. The better news is you won't do that. Okay. In a little stash of fabric. Oh, could I be so lucky? Could I be so lucky, Mum? I think I can. So this needs to be, where's the book gone? Well, no, because I've got it here. So this needs to be 2.5 inches. That's going to go there. Oh, bless. Okay. 1, 2.5, 1, 2.5. Okay. So we're going to recut 1, 2.5, and we're going to add it to the fabric we're not touching for this step because Amanda touched too many pieces. And then we're going to put this fabric back. That's why we have all the fabric nicely labelled. And then we need to come back to where we were, and we need a 2-inch one. We need 1 2-inch white one. Are we going to be, that's 1.5. This is why I do this. That's 3 1/4. That's a 2-inch. So having these all labelled makes fixing whoopsies nice and quick. So I need a 2" by 2", 2 by 2. Okay. The good news right now is it never happened. Let me just clean up all the stuff on the side. I think this is probably our biggest whoopsie to date. Okay. So, we don't need that one. This needs to go with our fabric in here. That's a whoops. Okay. So I need to draw on this one on the diagonal. Or as best as we can on the diagonal. Okay. Then we go right sides together and we pin it. We get all of that crap away. Okay, so we're going to do what we did on this side. I'm going to sew it just to the outside and then I'm going to chop it a 1/4 inch and then it will start to make sense. Oh, okay. All right, I think I did better at sewing it outside the line, but I probably sewed it too far outside the line. But we're fine. It's going to be fine. All right. We're going to... I really do need to stand up when I trim. Okay. I think we're good. Okay. Now we have, I'll press it. I'll be back. Okay, now we have the stem. This makes sense. So we only need one of those. And then we needed to attach white to both of them. And we need a little go back. And then we need to trim this up so that it is a nice 2.5 inches again. Now, I think that's just going to take some eyeballing, so that I'm just going to try and match it up with the patterned fabric. Well, as best I can, because that's not going to work. I'm just going to split the difference on that one. Kind of go either side of that. Try and go either side of this. I get why you have to sew on towards the outside of it, otherwise it's not that neat. I think that'll be fine. I think I'll be able to hide the rest in the seams. Just tidy up this side. Okay. All right. I'm being summoned to do a task, so I'm going to have a breather, get rid of that one, bin, and I'll be back. Okay. My little side quest is complete. We've walked away from our whoopsie. And we have a stem. Okay, we have a stem, we have 2.5 inch squares. I think it's time for the wool mat and placements. We just have to make you, yep. That's so straight. You were focused in the middle? I don't know where you're focused anymore. Okay. Well, this was a learning curve. And I think it's the first one where I've had to recut the fabric on. Okay. Let me make sure we've done it. Trim down, yes, evenly, as even as it can be. Okay, now we're on scant seams, but before we even get there, let's line this up. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5. Do I want it that way? I'm going to make it go that way. Okay. 6 goes this way. This goes here. Stupid leaf. I'm actually going to go that way because the card's better and I can hide that in the trimming. Where does this one go? This way. Alright. Gosh, I think I need an alcoholic beverage after this one. Alright. So, we're on scant seams now. So I'm just going over to my machine, fixing that, and putting the guided 1/4 inch foot back on it. Okay. We've taken a breath. We're going to sew this like normal. This to this. Okay. Just like normal. We've recovered from our whoops. Alright. I'll be back after this half is sewed. Okay. They're all sewed. This one I sewed this way because you only catch one of the seams. So it's the stem. Alright. I'm going to sew these ones. I'll be back after that sewing occurs. Alright. That sewing has occurred. The ironing has followed. We're getting ready to do this one now. Alright. So, like always, let them sit where they want and then encourage them to go where they need to be. Just happens to be there sitting on top of each other because of the pattern. Fine. Alright. I will sew this in return. Alright, that one's done. Now I'm going to put this one on. So I'll do it for you. So, same as before. Sits where it wants to sit and then we manipulate it. Sitting pretty well. I'm going to get less confident as I go. No, that's actually not bad. I thought that leafless stem thing was going to cause me more trouble, but been alright. Alright, our last seam for block 19, which means I think we've only got 2 more blocks to go. Yeah, for this pack anyway. I'll be back with that seam done. Okay, our maple leaf is done. We learnt a new skill. We've cut extra fabric. I'd say all in all, this was a success. Alright, so that's maple leaf. What are we doing on block 20? A split 9 patch. Okay, so we've got this in the community quilt as well. Combination seams again, we like those. 4 at a time, 2 at a time, trim evenly. Oh, no, this is pretty basic. We're not going to be unhappy with this one. Alright, I'll see you for block 20. Enjoy block 19.